Have you ever noticed that the same names seem to appear again and again at the top of every major industry? From banking to politics to media, almost as if the world is run by a small, invisible club most people never hear about? It is not a conspiracy theory. It is simply how power works at the highest level. Behind the headlines and elected officials, there exists a quiet network of extremely wealthy and connected individuals who influence decisions long before the public finds out. In this video, we will break down how this global elite structure operates, how these power networks influence markets, and why understanding this can change how you see the world. What is the global elite structure? The global elite structure refers to a loose but powerful network of individuals who control enormous amounts of capital, information, and influence across borders. These are not random rich people. They are the owners of major corporations, the heads of investment funds, the founders of influential foundations, and the people who sit on the boards of central banks and international organizations. What makes this group so powerful is not simply their wealth, it is their access. They attend the same private conferences, they sit on the same advisory boards, and they often know about major economic and political decisions long before the general public does. This structure is not officially organized like a government, and no single leader controls everything. Instead, it functions like an ecosystem of relationships, favors, and shared interests. When enough powerful people agree on a direction, whether a trade policy, an interest rate decision, or a major technology investment, markets around the world begin to move that way almost automatically. This is why some of the biggest financial shifts in history seem to happen with almost no public warning at all. How power networks actually form? Power networks do not form overnight. They are built over decades through elite universities, exclusive social clubs, and family connections that span multiple generations. Many of the world's most influential people attended the same handful of universities, joined the same exclusive societies, and later worked at the same small group of investment banks or consulting firms before rising into positions of massive influence. This shared background creates deep trust between people who may never have grown up in the same country, but who speak the exact same language of power. Private gatherings play an enormous role in strengthening these networks. Invitation-only conferences bring together central bankers, tech billionaires, hedge fund managers, and political leaders in rooms where no cameras are allowed. These are not simply networking events. They are places where real decisions are shaped long before they are ever announced publicly. By the time a policy change or major investment trend reaches the news, the people inside these networks have often already positioned themselves to benefit from it. Why markets react before the public knows one of the clearest signs that power networks influence markets is how often financial markets move before official news is even released. Stock prices sometimes shift dramatically hours or even days before a major announcement, which suggests that certain individuals had access to information the general public did not. This is often described using the phrase "smart money moves first," referring to insiders and elite investors who position themselves ahead of major changes because of privileged access to information and relationships. The smart money phenomenon does not always involve anything illegal. In many cases, it is simply the natural result of powerful people talking to each other in private settings. A conversation between a central bank official and a major fund manager at a private dinner can shape investment decisions long before any public statement is made. Multiply this by hundreds of similar relationships happening across the world, and you start to understand why markets often seem to know things before regular investors do. The role of global institutions, large international institutions, play a major role in connecting elite power networks across different countries. Organizations that bring together political leaders, business executives, and policy experts create a shared space where global priorities are discussed and refined. While these meetings are often reported publicly, the real influence often comes from the private conversations that happen on the sidelines, away from cameras and official statements. These institutions help create a shared understanding among global elites about where the world economy should be heading. When enough powerful people from different countries agree on a general direction, whether related to energy policy, technology regulation, or global trade, that agreement slowly filters down into national policies and corporate strategies. This is one of the primary ways local markets around the world end up reflecting global elite priorities, even when most citizens never directly participate in those conversations. How family wealth shapes long-term influence, unlike ordinary wealth. Elite family wealth is often structured to last multiple generations through trusts, foundations, and complex investment vehicles. This long-term structure gives certain families influence stretching far beyond a single lifetime. A young member of an elite family can inherit not just money, but decades of relationships, board memberships, and access to closed-door networks built over generations. Why elite influence rarely disappears. This generational advantage means that global elite influence rarely disappears even when individual leaders retire or pass away. Instead, influence transfers smoothly to the next generation, who often attended the same schools and joined the same organizations as their parents. This creates a form of power that is remarkably stable over time, even as public political leaders change every few years through elections. Why ordinary investors are often left behind for everyday investors? Understanding this structure explains why market timing can feel almost impossible using public information alone. By the time news becomes widely available, elite networks have often already adjusted positions based on private conversations and early signals. This creates a natural information gap between insiders and the public that has existed throughout financial history. This does not mean ordinary people cannot succeed in markets. But understanding these networks can help investors interpret sudden market movements more clearly. When a stock or currency moves sharply without an obvious public reason, it is worth considering that private information may have already been circulating among connected individuals before the public became aware of it. How media and narrative fit into the picture. Media ownership is another quiet piece of the global elite structure that many people overlook completely. A surprisingly small number of large corporations and wealthy individuals own a significant share of the world's major news outlets, streaming platforms, and publishing houses. This concentration of ownership does not necessarily mean stories are dictated word for word from the top, but it does mean that certain narratives are far more likely to receive coverage, while others quietly fade into the background. When elite networks share similar economic interests, the stories reaching the public often reflect those priorities without anyone needing to give a direct order. Editors and producers make countless small decisions every day about which stories matter most. And those decisions are shaped by the same institutions, advertisers, and ownership structures connected to the elite network itself. Over time, this quietly shapes public opinion in ways that align with the interests of those already holding the most economic and political power. The bigger picture behind global power at the end of the day, the global elite structure, is not about one hidden group secretly controlling everything. It is about how relationships, information, and capital naturally concentrate among people who already have access to each other. Power flows toward existing power, and markets simply reflect the decisions made by those who already sit closest to the centers of global influence. Understanding how these networks operate does not require believing in secret conspiracies. It simply requires recognizing that access and relationships shape outcomes as much as public policy does. Once you see the world through this lens, global events, market movements, and major economic shifts begin to make a lot more sense. If this video helped you understand how global elite networks influence the world around us, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video like this one. Drop a comment below telling me which part surprised you the most. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.